Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. We've just finished our first session at the Tech and Innovation Hub, and I have Adolph from E2Log with me. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Great. We're happy to have you here. Before we get started on your session and recapping that, tell me a little bit about your company and what you do.
Sure. So E2Log is a digital ecosystem for door-to-door shipping of oversized and project cargoes. So basically what we do is we've digitized the entire process for the movement of cargoes across all the verticals. So we're that integrator across multiple verticals, which offers that seamless service.
That is amazing. We often hear that kind of technology is fairly easy to apply, say, to container shipments. But when every shipment is different with project cargo, it can be more difficult. So how did you overcome those challenges?
So we actually approached it in a little different way from what most companies would have done. We pulled together a team of experts who come from the business, who've been in oversize for the longest time. And then we pulled together a bunch of technology guys who know nothing about logistics. And what we did is we actually had the business people transfer their knowledge, convey their requirements to the technology guys. Technology guys actually push back in a lot of instances and, why do you do it this way? Why do you want it that way? And actually came up with a solution which is very unconventional as compared to what, other companies have done to approach the space. And we really believe that oversize is a massive opportunity. As you correctly pointed out, a lot of people have focused on doing this within the container space, but we are the first in oversize. It's a huge opportunity and we're excited to be there.
That is fantastic. So can you just give us an example of a cargo that you have applied this to?
Sure. So we've actually moved two very large shipments recently. These are two land rigs which we moved from China to Kuwait. Each is about 14,000 CBM of cargo. So you have an appreciation for how large a shipment that is. And we actually move these door to door and very complex moves. But it's a great example of how technology can be used to drive these very large shipments across the oceans as they move.
Right. So it must be an incredible increase in transparency for the shipper and the receiver.
Absolutely unprecedented. Ours is a business, unfortunately, where people are still trapped in Excel spreadsheets, emails, and phone calls. And I'm glad you used the word transparency because our industry is not very comfortable with that. And when they are exposed to systems and models which are opening all of that up, there's a degree of discomfort. One of the challenges we therefore face as a consequence of it is the resistance to change. And today, there's a lot of focus on digitization and what that could do and how it could transform the industry. What we say is that digitization ain't going to happen if there isn't a culture change. It's really that culture change which is going to be able to help us be successful.
Absolutely. So how can a company foster that kind of change? How do you encourage people to look at things differently and sort of let go of past processes like you did with your two groups? I think that's very interesting. What advice do you give for a company that feels sort of they want to move ahead but can't figure out how to do it and feel that there's a lot of pushback?
Sure. So there are a few different things which have to be done to achieve that outcome. Number one is you have to demonstrate the value proposition. It's important. And that value proposition has to be demonstrated at different levels. So at an executive level, as an example, they need to feel that it's going to be a more efficient way of doing business, that they're going to save money, it's going to be transparent, it's going to be compliant, etc. As you come through the lower levels of the organization, let's say if you're dealing with operations people, they need to see that, hey, this is beneficial for me because I can track my cargo, as an example, as against picking up the phone and calling up Bob or Mary to figure out where my stuff is. Similarly, for the logistician who's actually working the shipment, we need to demonstrate to them that, hey, this is an easier way of doing your business. No longer do you have to have hundreds of emails for a single shipment. No longer do you have to field off, tens of calls over the life cycle of a shipment. No longer do you need to dig through, your old records. No longer do you need to save documents on a shared drive. No longer do you need to chase up multiple providers. So the key is to be able to demonstrate value at every level of the organization. And that's the power of technology, that it delivers at every level. But you have to sell to each of these stakeholders so that they feel that they're gaining from it.
Well, that is fantastic. That is such an interesting perspective, and I'm so glad that you are on the forefront of change in our industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.